Hello everyone! Today I'm going to talk about self-image and I'm mainly going to ask the question, can your self-image be dangerous? Can your self-image actually be like a prison? First of all, what's even the point of having a self-image? So we all have a way of understanding people, right? The people around us, and also understanding ourselves, so who we are. And it's useful because it helps you to predict people, predict what they're going to do, to understand them better based on their past behavior, and also to make our own choices. You need to know, like, what do I want? But you also need to know, what am I capable of? So that you can make smart choices for yourself. I'm good at this, I'm not good at that, right? It's all help for you to make better decisions, to make smarter decisions. So it is necessary in that way to have a self-image, just like how you try to understand other people. But can it also hold you back, right? And I want to talk about this because I think it's important to realize that our self-image could also hold us back, especially if you have a more negative self-image. You believe you have a lot of negative traits or traits that you don't really like, but you think you can't change them about yourself, right? So you need to remember that your self-image accounts only for your past and not for your future. So I think a lot of us might kind of assume, that, well, because I've built up this self-image over the years, right? It's proof of who I am. But what you might not realize is that if you don't change, or if your behavior doesn't change much over the years, that doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot change. Because the reason that you didn't change might be that you didn't try, because it can become this cycle of thinking that this is who I am, so I'm not gonna try to change because I'm not capable of it, because clearly if I could have changed, I would have changed by now. You're so focused on this self-image, you might believe that you cannot change. And when you believe you cannot change, you won't try, because you think that it's a waste of energy, it's a waste of time to try. It's going to make you feel disappointed when you fail, right? So why would I even try? Why would I give myself hope that I can change when I know I'm gonna fail, right? So it can actually make you get stuck in the past, basically. That's the exact thing that stops you from trying. So you shouldn't forget that the self-image, it's not actually real. It's just a concept to make you remember yourself. But you can literally be whoever you want to be. You can change at any time. So I think it's a good thing to remind ourselves of that and think about this, imagine your future is longer than your past and you're just gonna live your life based on your past. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? Imagine you're 20 years old and you live until you're 80, and you still have 60 years ahead of you. And you're gonna think, well, because I've been like this for 20 years, that's who I am and I'm not gonna try to change. Even though maybe in this whole time of 60 years, you could have done so much work on yourself and you didn't, because you thought you couldn't do it, because you thought that who you are was basically set in stone, because you defined your idea of who you are only based on your past, and doesn't that sound ridiculous? Because you had so many opportunities to change your behavior in the future. Anyway, and of course I don't mean this, I'm not trying to say that you can't change when you're old, but it's just an example how ridiculous it is to think like that, right? Even if you still have only 5 years ahead of you, you could still change. So who are we really, right? If we are not our self-image, who are we? Because are we just who we are right now in the moment? No, because we have lived up until now. So who are we really? I think anyone's image of you, even your own image of yourself, is always going to be subjective, you know? If you see yourself a certain way, someone else is gonna see you a different way. Someone else is gonna think more positively of you. Someone else is gonna think more negatively of you. It's all based on how they have experienced you and how they have experienced their life. So, who we really are is a combination of a few things. It's part of it is literally just our natural tendencies, so kind of things that are a bit wired into our brain that are just because of our genetics. Because we can't be literally whoever we want to be, because we have our DNA that we cannot escape from. But part of who we are is also our values, you know, what we care about, what we like, what we dislike, and even who we want to be, because that's also part of your values. And then part of who you are is also, of course, your behavior. But you need to remember that your behavior, of course, is not just your past behavior, it's also your future behavior. And that's still like a blank page. You know, you don't know what it's gonna be. It could be very different than what it has been. So I think we often believe that our behavior is kind of based on our natural tendencies. Realize that your behavior is not only based on your tendencies, it's also your values also affect your behavior. So you should realize that yes, your natural tendencies affect your behavior, but your values also affect your behavior because your values determine your motivation. And even if, for example, you think that you are bad at something naturally, even still, if you really, really want this, you know, then imagine you compare yourself to someone who's naturally good at something, but they don't care, you know? They couldn't care less. They're not even interested in it. But you think you're naturally bad at it, but you practice every single day and you think about it every single day and you want it so badly. Like, in the end, you might get better than the other person because they didn't care. They didn't do anything, right? And you did. So, like, values affects your behavior. Values is the thing that determines, like, I'm gonna practice every single day. I'm gonna learn about this. I'm gonna do this, right? And then you're gonna get better despite your natural tendency that maybe you didn't have the best genes, but you know, that's not all that matters. So, yes, your natural tendencies matter, but so do your values. And I think we tend to forget that sometimes, how powerful our motivation actually is. And our motivation is based on our values. So our values might be internal, right? But it's, even though it's internal and it doesn't always show in your behavior, it is still part of who we are. And I think who we are is just a combination of these three things, basically. So another thing I want to remind you is think about this. Definitely don't try to be who others tell you you are or what they expect you to be, because what they expect you to be is based on your past, and what they want you to be is based on what's good for them, you know, and not what's good for you. So if people try to tell you who you are, you need to realize that part of it is in their favor, you know. Maybe they want to make you feel small, because if you feel small, they will feel bigger themselves compared to you. So just remember that if you try to be what other people think you are, you know, you might be working against yourself without realizing it. So another thing to realize is that changing your behavior is not fake, you know. People might believe that it's fake because maybe they don't have the capacity to change or the will to change. But just because someone else never changed doesn't mean that you can't, right? And if you try to be who you want to be, what's in your heart based on your values, then it's not fake, you know, because you can be whatever the hell you want to be. Like, fake is lying. For example, saying that I love green, but actually you hate green. You know, something, it's a dumb example, but like, that's lying. But changing your behavior, that's your right, you know, that's your choice. And that's not lying, especially if you wanted to change and you had a reason for it. So, anyway, yeah, remember that. And it's not a lie, you know, if you try to change, it's not a lie just because it was your past. Because you are much more than only your past. So yeah, I guess to summarize the message of this video that I'm trying to give is like, try to be more like who you want to be rather than who you have been or what people expect you to be. And just be aware that you have a self-image and that is just a concept, you know, and it might need to be updated from time to time. And it's not necessarily reality. You know, you can try to change it anytime. You can try to think, okay, I don't really like this self-image. What if I was more like this? You know, try it. Try to change your behavior and try to see if it works and try to see if you can change into that. So yeah, don't be what people expect of you, even if that means that they won't recognize you anymore. Because who cares, right? Life is all about growing and learning. And I think that's one of the great things in life, you know, to grow and to learn. And when you really think about it, who else should you... I'm trying to give a message here, and then my dog is just in the background making these disgusting chewing noises. Anyway, so when you really think about it, who else should you be than what's in your heart? So remember, I might have said this already before, but just remember, motivation is such a powerful thing. Don't underestimate the power of motivation. If you work on yourself every day, if you want it, you know, you might get there. Anyway, so lately I've been thinking about this and I thought it was an interesting thing to think about. And for any of you who might struggle with anxiety, I just want to say that having a positive self-image can really help with that. Because when you feel like you are inherently bad or people don't like you or something like that, or you are not behaving like how you want to behave, then it gives you a lot of pressure to act a certain way because you think that like, if I fail at one thing, people are gonna hate me, or like they're not gonna like me anymore. If I fail at this one thing, then everything's ruined. And that makes you more anxious, right? If you have a very positive self-image and you really believe that you like yourself, you are who you want to be, right? Then you know that if you mess up once, it doesn't matter because look at all these good things that I did, you know? So basically, just wanted to say that it can help if you have anxiety to lessen your anxiety. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.